Hello, students, teachers, parents, history nerds. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Nutshelled History, where we lay out the facts, the good, the bad, and the ugly. We continue with our Modern World History series by looking at European colonies in Africa. Don't forget that there's a link for a fill-in-the-blank worksheet in the description. Feel free to use it. I just ask that you like and subscribe. I apologize for any mispronunciations ahead of time. I do my best. Now, let's do it. Before the scramble for colonies began in the 1800s, North Africa was under the rule of the declining Ottoman Empire. West Africa experienced an Islamic revival inspired by Usman Dan Fodio. In East Africa, port cities carried on a profitable trade. Zulus were a major force in southern Africa. A brilliant Zulu leader, Shaka, conquered nearby peoples. Groups driven from their homelands by the Zulus migrated north, conquering other peoples and creating powerful states. Meanwhile, European nations started to outlaw the transatlantic slave trade, but the slave trade to Asia continued. For many years, Europeans had been trading along the African coasts. In the 1800s, contact increased as European explorers began pushing into the interior of Africa. One of the best known was the missionary explorer Dr. David Livingstone. In 1869, the journalist Henry Stanley trekked into Africa to find Livingstone, who had not been heard from for years. Other missionaries followed explorers such as Livingstone. They built schools, churches, and medical clinics, often taking a paternalistic view of Africans. About 1871, King Leopold II of Belgium hired Stanley to arrange trade treaties with African leaders. Leopold's actions prompted Britain, France, and Germany to join in a scramble for African land. Eventually, without consulting any Africans, European leaders met in Berlin to divide the continent of Africa among themselves. In the following years, Europeans expanded further into Africa, often exploiting African people and resources. In southern Africa, the Boer War began when Britain wanted to claim Boer land. The Boers were descendants of Dutch farmers. The British wanted the land because gold and diamonds had been discovered there. Africans fought back against European imperialism. In West Africa, Samori Touré fought French forces. Ya Asantewa was an Asante queen who led the fight against the British in West Africa. Another female leader was Nahanda of the Shona in Zimbabwe. In most cases, resistance was not successful. However, Ethiopia was able to keep its independence. Earlier, Ethiopia had been divided up among a number of rival princes who then ruled their own domains. Menelik II modernized his country and trained an army, successfully resisting Italian invaders. The age of imperialism caused a Western-educated African elite to emerge. Some admired Western ways, others sought independence through nationalist movements. All right, it is recap time. Before Europeans started their colonial land grab in the 1800s, North Africa was under the fading Ottoman Empire. West Africa was experiencing an Islamic revival, and East Africa was thriving with its port cities. The Zulus, led by Shaka, were dominating in the south. Europeans, while banning the transatlantic slave trade but not the one to Asia, began exploring Africa's interior. David Livingstone and Henry Stanley were notable explorers, with Stanley famously searching for the missing Livingstone. Missionaries followed, establishing schools and clinics with a patronizing attitude. King Leopold II of Belgium spurred a scramble for African land among European nations, leading to the Berlin Conference where Africa was divided without African input. The British fought the Boer War for gold and diamonds in southern Africa, while African leaders like Samori Touré, Ya Asantewa, and Nahanda resisted, mostly unsuccessfully. Ethiopia, under Menelik II, was a rare exception, successfully resisting Italian invasion. The imperialist era led to the emergence of a Western-educated African elite, some of whom admired the West, while others sought independence. There you have it, folks. That is European colonies in Africa nutshelled. Thanks for stopping by Nutshelled History. Don't forget to scramble those like and subscribe buttons for me. It helps me out. Tell me that you did it in the comments down below.